My father once told me I treated my mother smartly. When I asked him, how could that be, when the one thing I know about me is that I'm not sneaky? His reply came like a tsunami, a thunderstorm that peels off all the trees, for those trees had cast shadows on the secrets that lay beneath. He told me I treated my mother one way, I treated my father another way, my brother another, my grandparents and friends. I treated every single one of them in a different way. I felt like a hypocrite. I remembered the stories of masked faces, of personalities changing depending on the cases. I laughed so my I laughed. All the walls I had built around me were shattered, crumbling swiftly into a wreckage of soul. I was shocked, for my walls were not of glass. Though I thought that they were, though I pretended to be an open book, I had surrounded myself with boulders of stone, cracked briefly at various angles, and depending on the way that you look, you only see a part, a glimpse of the hole that lay inside. So in the 20 years that I have walked the face of this earth, I never felt understood. How can you understand a story when you can only see a line, a faint glow between a billion words? How can you understand me when I myself do not understand me? I laughed. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. In a split second, all my misconceptions were shattered. All the ideas that have filled my head, feeding the demon that lay inside, overthinking every single second, they had all turned to dust, vaporizing into thin air. Then with the swift motion of a wand, their smoke had recollected, combining the billion pieces of the puzzle. Did someone really know who I am? Has someone finally glimpsed inside every single crack? I was mesmerized, shocked, astonished, I was elated. My soul was exposed, I was liberated. For as it turns out, my walls were actually of glass, masterfully painted to look like stone. And only those who really cared, only those bold enough, would pick up a hammer, and with the first bang, they would be led inside. For the truth is, I yearned to be exposed. I called for the one person who could, the one person who would crack the code. But my screams were at a specific frequency, a pitch so high, your typical ear cannot comprehend. But it turns out, my daddy wasn't the only one with the keys. That night, I opened WhatsApp. I checked all the starred messages in an endless conversation with my best friend. I told her she knew who I am. I told her that who I am was something I never knew. Or was it something that I had hidden? Did I really not know who I am? Or had I lied to myself all these years, thinking who I am was more complex than the acceptable level of complexity? A bundle of threads connecting pins on a CSI detective's board. But these lines that I hated, those lines that have rendered me indecisive, those lines were unique. Their minor connections formed my future, and their endless contradictions formed my talent. I thank the people who saw beauty in the connections and marveled at the contradictions. I thank the ones who watered my love for science and appreciated my artistic mind. I prayed for those who got me out of my fortress, to find their own keys, to find someone brave enough to pick up the hammer to their glass, take their soul gracefully by the hand, and guide it to the world that lays beyond the endless mountains of sand.